Since I was a child, I've always wanted to have a construction delivery business, but I knew it was not that easy because construction is a really convoluted industry. So I was like, listen, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do all my research from the get-go so that I know exactly what I'm getting myself into. So the very first thing that I did was I wanted to understand the business model because I'm like, you know what? If I want to open a construction delivery business, I need to sit down and really understand the business model. What I've seen here is that when you talk about construction, you have a lot of players, right? You have a lot of industries. You have fleet drivers. You have solopreneurs. You have owner operators. You have a compilation, a constellation of players here, and so some of those players they use software. Some of those players they use GPS. Some of those players they use Excel. So you have a lot of players, and it really depends on the kind of industry or the kind of niche you want to put yourself in. And one thing I've realized is that the where the money is at, where the kaching is really at, is when you work with architecture, engineering, and construction companies, because those are the ones who are giving you cash in and out, right? So you can do a lot of things. Because see, when we talk about delivering, like if you're a construction delivery business, you're not just delivering construction materials, like anything that can fit in a trailer. You're not, or in a 18 wheeler for that matter. You're not just delivering, let's say, construction equipment, anything that can fit in a trailer. Also, no, you are delivering documents, letters, contracts. You are delivering blueprints and plans. You are delivering like architectural plans. Yeah. That's something I never knew before. And when I got into business, and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to build a construction company, literally, I need to know what kind of contract I can have. You can deliver blueprints and plans, 3D model makers, large scanners. And the thing is that now I've realized that it also depends on the niche you're delivering for. So if you're working, let's say, residential construction, some of those deliveries are different. But if you work in commercial construction, like the supplies are different, right? Because the bottom line here is that you want to make sure that you are either like you either have you have the right staff to kind of help you out. Because when it comes to construction deliveries, you are working with architects, planners, blueprint companies, engineers, builders, developers, contractors, and full service construction companies. So a lot of clients. So that was the first thing I did. I just sat down. I said, you know what? I need to understand the business model of the construction delivery business in general. And then the next thing I did was I wanted to understand the pros, like the advantages of having a delivery business for the construction industry. Because like my ass was tired of losing money because I had tried other businesses in the past. And I'm like, now I can't really risk losing money again. So let me first understand the benefits of the construction materials delivery. So the thing is that you are basically you have a lot of I would say a lot of opportunities, a lot of contract opportunities, especially when it comes to last mile delivery of materials, because really that's the last mile when you really think about it. And the cool thing is that you are basically, there is no need to store and secure excess materials, because with last mile delivery, construction site managers and contractors can order supplies as they need them. You have improved scheduling, so knowing exactly when materials will arrive actually will basically help the people that in charge to know how many workers to schedule and what type of workers are needed. I never knew about that the interrelation and the correlation of everything that I would have to do as a construction worker. So right, and so what I love also is that what I loved, and I still love that, is that if you are trying to open a construction business, you got to really love the fact that you have precise deliveries. So job sites might be inaccessible, dangerous for delivery drivers, or difficult to locate if the project under construction is a new address that's not displaying correctly on Google Maps. But companies that provide last mile construction materials delivery use auto dispatch software that helps them plan their route and includes two-way communication, so customers can offer guidance on where to put incoming deliveries. So this is I was really happy when I saw that. And there are other advantages if you were to open a construction delivery business. I realized that you have little startup costs required. You have a rewarding work. You have high customer retention rate because they need you anyway, right? You can pick and choose the clients you work with. You can control the workload, and you can gain exposure and experience. And that experience and exposure brings you, I would say, a recurrent revenue. And recurrent revenue is really the key, because you know that startups actually fail and go bankrupt if they don't have recurring revenue. So that was the pro. So when I sat down, and this thing I'm telling you, I actually went and researched this every single day for 2 months. And I realized one thing I was started paying attention to is actually the cons, the disadvantages. There are a lot of things also. The thing is that when people think about construction delivery, construction materials delivery, yes, I mean, the primary challenge for materials deliveries is keeping deliveries on track while using a fleet of contractors spread across a wide area. And word of mouth referrals are still relevant, perhaps even more so in this age of online reviews. So one late delivery could result in lost business and referrals when you really think about it, right? So, and this is why you really need to have a way to actually manage all these things. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to make money in the construction delivery business, if I'm going to make it day in and day out, if I'm going to make money day in and day out, I need to have a better plan. And I'm not talking about just a regular plan. I wanted to have a better idea about how to manage myself and how to really keep the revenue at a very stable level. Because for me, it was going to this business thing, I said to myself, I need to keep the revenue model static so that I can make money on a stable basis. Which means what? I need to have a lot of clients, and those clients, they have to pay me on an RPH model. So RPH stands for rate per hour. In case you don't know, there are other models when it comes to compensating delivery drivers. Like I've used the RPM, rate per mile. I've used the RPC, rate per contract. I've used RPL, rate per load in the past. But my favorite, to be honest with you, is RPH, because RPH guarantees me, like if I agree with the client that they will be paying me $65 an hour, I know that I'm getting $65 an hour, whether there was traffic on the highway for me, like while I was going there, or something happens and there was an accident, whatever. But if you are getting paid a rate per mile, if you have, God forbid, you have some kind of accident on the road, you are toast. So when you think about the disadvantages of a construction delivery business, I want you to think about the motivation of employees, longer sales process. The work can be inconsistent sometimes. You have lack of benefits, you have taxes, and you have no safety net. So you got to think about that a lot. So the next thing I did was I wanted to know who the players are, right? So, because I was like, okay, I understand the business model, I understand the pros, I understand the cons. Now let me get an idea about those key players in the industry. So, and I've done some research, and you'll be really surprised. Like at least I was surprised that you have a lot of startups in this field. A lot of players are kind of new. Like like 5 years ago, you didn't have them. And or even 10 years ago. So this is really good, because it is telling me that, hey, listen, if I'm a newbie, I can still survive in this quote unquote jungle, in this construction delivery jungle, right? So toolbox, that's how you spell it. Tool, the normal tool, BX, tool BX. So this is actually a software or a company that delivers construction materials. And you also have Curie. So Curie is an app that allows you to do a lot of things, and they also deliver construction materials. We have Go4. So Go4 is actually based in Canada. The first two, the Curie and the Toolbox, they were based in the States, but for the Go4, they're based in Canada, and so this is kind of cool. And one thing I also want to say here is that so Go4 is a great software or app for construction, like construction delivery. Then you have GoShare. GoShare is everybody knows GoShare. We have reviewed, as a matter of fact, we have reviewed GoShare on this show. And one thing I want to say here is that GoShare is kind of cool because it gives you consistent work, okay? Especially when it comes to last mile delivery of construction materials. So GoShare actually offers a one-off deliveries for non-commercial customers, such as retrieving and delivering a piece of furniture to home. So this is really kind of cool. And I also found that there's another player called Reno Run. So Reno Run is kind of good also in terms of Reno Run is another player that's based in Canada, and it does a lot of good things. It does a lot. Even though they're based in Canada, they do actually have a US operation. Okay, I just wanted to mention that. So this is kind of cool to think about. And you so the thing is overall, so you can use an app or you can use software for construction materials delivery startups. So if you are looking for software tools for construction materials delivery startups, you got to think about route optimization. So you have on fleet, for example. So this is kind of cool because you need to maintain route optimization. You need to think about proof of delivery. You need to think about auto dispatch. You got to think about the customer driver communication. And you got to have analytics too, because you need to actually track specific things in your industry. So after I did that, I was like, okay, now I understand the business model. I understand the pros. I understand the cons. I understand the players in the industry. How do I actually start a construction delivery business? Now, how do I do it? So the first thing I did was I planned my business from A to Z. Like, how will I name my business? What are the startup and ongoing costs? What is my target market? How much I can charge my customers? Going back to the charging customers thing, I told you, like, I like to go with the RPH, rate per hour. Don't pay me $1 per mile. If I'm driving 8 hours, 30 miles, I'm just retaining $30 for the whole day. No, that's just bullshit, whatever, And so the thing is, you got to really come up with a name for your business and make sure the name is not taken. You don't want to have any issue with copyright. That's one thing you want to pay attention to. And copyright is a big deal in this industry. And so you want to, so when it comes to, and you also have to register a business name. So look at your state's business records, federal and state trademark records, like social media platforms, web domain availability. Again, think about the web domain thing right now as you are choosing the name, because later on you might actually want to have a website. So, and you don't want that website, the domain name, to be taken. You want to actually have access to it. And the next thing I did was I formed a legal entity. I chose an LLC though, even though I had options. I could have chosen a sole proprietorship, a partnership, an LLC, or a corporation, and I just chose LLC, a limited liability company, because I think it's just a very good structure that protects me from being held responsible personally if my construction contractor business is sued. And then what I did after that was that I registered for taxes. So I registered my construction delivery business for taxes. So I've signed a variety of state and federal taxes before I actually I can open my business. So in order to register for taxes, you will need, like, if you listen to me and you're thinking about the same thing, you will need to apply for an EIN. So and I did that, and I was like, okay, now I'm ready to start I'm ready to start making some money, but not so fast. Not so fast because I still needed to have a means to get the payments right. That's why I had to open a business bank account. And so I opened it. It was pretty smooth and not a problem. I opened one at the PNC and Truist. I had two accounts. So I was like, okay, those for me were those two companies were the most I would say amenable to startups. And so just to have a business bank account, make sure you have the proper account for your business. And also you want to set up business accounting. So you have to either go with software or you can just hire a local bookkeeper. When we talk about software, you can use QuickBooks, let's say online edition. You can use Zoho Books. You can use, you have a lot of players. You have, I'm blanking right now. It'll come back later on to me. You have Fresh Books also. So this is kind of cool. And so you want to set up your business accounting. You want to obtain necessary permits and licenses. Again, you ain't got no time to actually play here. You have to be really, really very strong and very fast. So you want to set up business accounting. You want to obtain necessary permits and insurance. I mean, the next thing I did was I got insurance, and I got my insurance from Allstate. So just as with licenses and permits, I knew right off the bat that my business needed insurance in order to operate safely and lawfully. So because when I really thought, I was like, okay, what does business insurance really do? Well, business insurance protects my company's financial well-being in the event of a covered loss. So I'm like, okay, because people in my entourage, they're like, yeah, don't buy insurance, whatever. And I'm like, what if something happened to me? What if, because you never know, right? And they're like, well, how often does that happen? You're giving free money to the insurance company, but I'm like, yeah, stuff can happen. You never know. Like, it's one of those things. The day it happens to you, you don't have the cash to cover it. That's just crazy, right? And so I really went through all these things. I obtained all the necessary permits and licenses. And when I talk about necessary permits and licenses, I'm not just talking about my state. I was talking about federally also. Like, what are the conditions I had to meet federally to be sure that I was doing the right thing. I was abiding by the law. I was getting all my stuff done the proper way, right? So I really paid attention to a lot of those things and what the authorities at the federal level were saying about opening a construction delivery business, because a lot of stuff can happen on a construction site. You just never know. Then one thing I did was I was actually thinking about actually going a little further in terms of defining my brand, because I've always had a nice penchant for marketing and branding and graphic design and all that kind of stuff. So I actually defined my brand. And because the thing, I knew that the branding is really important in terms of solidifying my relationship with my customers, right? And so I actually enlisted my wife, who's a graphic designer. The Lord knows how talented she is, and so she actually did a logo. She did a logo for my nascent construction delivery business. Actually did something else. Actually, she worked on the colors, like the overall colors for the brand. That was really good. So that was really fantastic. And I actually used her logo and color inspiration to create a website, because I just realized if I want to open a construction delivery business, I had to really have a website. Like, because nobody knows my ass anyway. So how do I differentiate myself? How do I actually appear natural to the clients? It's just that, a website does the job, because of something called Google Business. So what happens here is that if a client wants to search for construction companies in an area, and I happen to be in that area, it's just fantastic. It's just bonanza for me, right? So I'm just able to get things done properly. So that was a great sort of inspiration for me. And I also thought about creating my business website. I said that before. And most importantly, I paid attention to my business phone system also, because I was like, you know what? I want to be reached. Yes, I know I could have run everything from my cell phone, but I didn't want my cell phone bill to to become like $300 or $5,000. I don't have the kind of money. So I said, you know what? It's just better to get a landline. So when they call you on the landline, you'll still pay, but chances are you're not going to have like a lot of I would say a lot of players calling, a lot of construction delivery business clients actually contact you and sort of play games with you. So I didn't really think about that. But yeah, I mean, it's really good to know that the possibilities are there, right? Possibilities are there. So bottom line here is that when I thought about opening a construction delivery business, I actually studied the business model, trying to understand how people make money in the industry. I looked at the pros. I actually researched the cons. I also paid attention to all the key players in the industry: Toolbox, Curie, Go4, GoShare, and Reno Run. So I was like, okay, maybe I can get a job with them, but that was the wrong strategy. The best strategy is to actually redefine my own brand, like really say, okay, I'm here, and I'm here to stay. Really, when it comes to opening my delivery business for real, I plan my business. I actually formed a legal entity, an LLC. I registered for taxes. I opened a business bank account and a credit card. I actually set up business accounting. I obtained necessary payments and the necessary permits and licenses. I actually also, I got business insurance. I defined my brand, and I created my business website, and in the end, I also set up my business phone system. So yeah, that's what I did.